How's it going, folks? So earlier this week there was a post on X, and I reposted that post. And the post and repost bring up, quite frankly, two topics that are discussed in the 2A debate quite frequently over the years. I consider these two topics linked, even though others may disagree. And there are talking points in these topics that I think are wrong, despite what side says them. So, the first topic is that when all these groups the Democrats pretend to support, such as LGBTQ, blacks, Hispanics, women, non whites, start buying guns, well, then the 2A side of things, we're just going to abandon our Second Amendment principles and we're going to start supporting gun control. And the inverse topic on this is those of us on the pro 2A side that are a bit optimistic that think that just because we're getting a wave of new gun owners in, think that all of a sudden, that because this new wave of gun owners may typically vote Democrat, that this is the end of gun control. In both cases, both sides are wrong. And the topic is linked. So I'm going to start getting into the finer points of these topics. Let's start with the gun controller saying that the second all these people start buying guns, the 2A side is going to all of a sudden lose our principles in the 2A side of the debate because these people really don't understand us and really don't understand how we think. The right to keep and bear arms is a natural right. The Second Amendment is a direct protection of that right for everybody. And the fact is that we should not be supporting anything that's going to degrade this right. This right is a constant target of governments around the world. And any such inch we give them is going to be used to weave that rope that will be used as a noose against that particular right. Sure, we want as many people to come to our side as we can possibly get. And we do have a number of blacks, gays, women's, Hispanics, um, you name it, who are firearm owners and who are very pro 2A. The Democrats have a lot of choice words for them. The gun controllers have a lot of choice words for them. You ever want to hear a gun controller say some racist stuff? I mean, go ahead, be a black person who comes out in favor of the 2A. If you ever want to hear some misogynist stuff, be a woman who comes out and supports the 2A. Yes, this is how these people literally think. So, no, those of us on the 2A side and the Republicans in general are not going to just simply abandon our principles. And I use Republican, but what I really mean is actual Republican and libertarian types, actual 2A supporters. Where this is linked is if you look at what the pro 2A side, or at least some of us on the pro 2A side say in hopes. Well, all these people who are Democrat voters uh, are now buying firearms. Well, this is our chance for them to see the light and come out and support the Second Amendment. Well, this is wildly optimistic. It's on the other direction in many cases. It is true that there are people who do, when they start going into gun stores, buying their first firearms and going to the range, well, they eventually realize that when it comes to gun control, they were sold a line. and some of them do eventually come to our side. But the issue is that there's a lot of them that don't. And what generally happens with these gun control supporters who abandon their gun control principles to go out and buy a firearm every time a Republican is elected president, or you have, riots that happen in mass, or some other sort of temporary thing where they all of a sudden believe that they need a firearm happens. They're just buying the firearm for that particular temporary thing, and they're not really taking a serious step into being a firearm owner, somebody who owns a firearm for personal protection, or anything like that. It is just a temporary thing. And then when the next thing that comes around that stokes their support for gun control again comes up, these are the first people who are posting videos of themselves destroying their firearms, taking their firearms to police buybacks, um, or just taking their guns out of the drawer, that they've left in the drawer for so long or in the closet for so long to say, "Hey guys, I'm a gun owner too, and I support more gun laws." This is the type of people you're dealing with on the inverse. These people who were simply just buying a firearm for that temporary situation and had no intents on actually understanding the Pro 2A side of things. So the link is pretty clear. And the fact that, first off, what the gun controllers say is an absolute smear on their end, that's pretty clear. And for those of us in the 2A community, well, if we think that this is all of a sudden going to make enough 2A supporters out of people who originally voted for gun control and originally supported gun control to just absolutely kill gun control, you don't know the gun control side of the aisle that well. And that is that. Let's dive into this a little bit more because I have myself personal experiences with people who now all of a sudden, want to buy firearms when a particular thing pops up. And I happen to know some gun controllers or people who are at least supportive of more gun control laws at times, and then will turn around when some other times come up. Will turn around and start asking me questions all of a sudden about firearms. Uh, One such person, relative of mine, went all out after Parkland supporting gun control. And then, in the wake of the 2020 riots and COVID, this person's asking me, well, what is a good quality AR-15 I can get for like 500-600 bucks? You know, I'll give the information I have and let them make their own choices, obviously. However, at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know if this relative actually went out and purchased their AR-15 or if they still have their AR-15. I never followed up and asked. However, again, back in the wake of Parkland, this person was very adamant that no private citizen had a need for an AR-15. Then, after in the wake of the 2020 riots and COVID, they all of a sudden felt the need to buy an AR-15. And even then, the recent post that I'm talking about, it is a LGBTQ guy, apparently, at least this is what they say they are, they went and bought a Taurus GQ with a laser on it. Okay, then the repost of it said, well, hey, look, the second Republicans start saying that blacks, minorities, LGBTQ, whatever, start buying guns. I'm not quoting this repost or this original tweet verbatim. I don't have it in front of me. And I'm just saying the gist of it anyway. Well, the second these people start buying guns, Republicans are now going to finally start pushing for more restrictive gun laws or stricter gun controls. And no, that's not going to be the case either. But, again, this person is buying a Taurus G2 um, with a light on it, or a laser on it, excuse me. Well, as you can tell already from this person who bought the Taurus G2 is just simply buying the cheapest thing they see available. Um, this Taurus G2, they may or may not take it out to the range once or twice. They may or may not shoot it once or twice. They may or may not clean, probably not going to clean it. Then it's going to go in that drawer or by the nightstand or something like that, never to be taken out again. Up until maybe, they have to say I'm a gun owner too, and I support common sense gun laws or something like that. Or they're taking it to a police buyback, or they're doing a YouTube video saying that guns are the problem. That one less. You'll notice these people never go out and actually put down some money for a serious firearm. And I'll admit, I mean, a lot of people on our side of the aisle, the 2A side of them, spend the type of money I spent to purchase something like this, something of this quality, even though there is a massive difference in these, trust me. But at the same note, yeah, you'll notice that a lot of these people tend to buy the cheapest thing possible, and it's because they're not really serious about this. They're they're not really serious about understanding the mentality of why you'd be a 2A supporter. They don't understand the enthusiasm for firearms, and they don't understand the need to have, a firearm as a tool for personal protection at minimum, even if you're not really into firearms. They don't understand that mentality. Um, some of them might eventually get it in the future, but for the most part, they're not going to change. And by the way, for those of you who are now in the wake of the Trump election buying firearms because you're afraid of the Cheeto fascist or the Cheeto Hitler or whatever. Well, first off, I personally think you should rethink that position all around, at least the Cheeto Hitler part, because he's no more authoritarian than what we've got in D.C. already, and honestly, your side of the aisle has been more authoritarian on this, if you ask my opinion, and the opinion of millions of other Americans. However, when it comes down to the firearms, this is my advice for you. First off, learn the 4 basic safety rules. This will indeed help prevent you from having an accident with a firearm, or as we call it, a negligent discharge. I would suggest go try to get some formal training. This is not me calling to mandate training. Obviously, I don't do that. I'm just simply saying it is wise. This is a wise bit of advice for any new firearm owner, or even if you've owned firearms for years. Getting a little bit more training, if you can afford it and if you can handle it, helps out. It's a little bit more you can learn. My next thing is to actually go out to the range. Talk to some of these other people who are 2A supporters, have a calm discussion with them, ask them why they support the Second Amendment. Sure, you're going to get one or two dumbass responses. So it's the same way with everywhere. But what you're also going to get are people who are well reasoned. If you took 5 seconds to try to understand what they say, you might not quite have that same negative outlook on it. And you might find out they're more than willing to welcome you into their community, provided, you're actually want to be in the community. Just period. Because those of us on the pro 2A side of things, we truly do want more people coming in and supporting the Second Amendment. We do really want gun control to die. We want a lot, if not all, of these gun control laws that we already have on the books to come off the books. I mean, these gun control laws are unconstitutional. I bring this up right here. You know, honestly, the fact that there is no fun switch on this thing and it can't come with a fun switch without a whole bunch of additional stipulations that the average American just cannot meet and just cannot satisfy, that should be really telling about just how violated our Second Amendment really is. So I'm going to leave it at this. For those of you who have watched this far, well, hell, I appreciate. Those of you who have an opinion, you always have the comment section. Please make use of that comment section. Thank you all for watching. Y'all take it easy out there and have a great day.